me one on
Now,
Alt tab?
why and how do you procure
yeah.
a false Austrian passport? You don't get a false passport. That's a comment I made before.
You don't.
There's no such thing as a false passport. There's a passport under false pretenses issued to you by a spy agency. Okay.
So which agency would issue
Exactly. That's a very interesting question.
such a passport?
Let's for intelligence. Let's go to the FOIA CIA in 1999 document. This is a very interesting document that was flogged.
Can you explain what a FOIA is?
FOIA is a Freedom of Information Act request. Any of us actually, can just FOIA any agency. There are a lot of rules around what can be FOIA'd and what not, but you can pay your own fees and you can say, I want this under the Freedom of Information Act about something. As long as there's a rigorous review process, etc. You need a pretty good lawyer if you're going to get something which is actually scandalous, and you'll have to fight it for a decade in court. But technically, it is available to you.
You have access to information that has been procured by the government.
Yeah, the government has. There are certain exceptions. Congress can't be FOIA'd. White House can't be FOIA'd. But executive agencies can.
What's up, everybody?
So
it's JC and welcome.
I could follow FOIA my name in the Department
that
of
I've had
if I wanted to.
the hoods of Bluegate map, and on the Bluegate map you can go anywhere in this checkpoint location, and there are cars scattered throughout. Again, just breach and search the hoods, and you're gonna find your motors. Those are the two locations. If you're short on time, I hope this was helpful. You see, because that's the garage location. When you go to this location, there are cars at the location, and there are cars
again in 2011 to see if the CIA still would acknowledge any links with him 12 years since. 1999 is a very important year. 1999 is at the height of what we call the unipolar moment. This is after the fall of the Soviet Union, and it's when a lot of the Cold War shenanigans are beginning to wind down. After 92, when everything really went away and Russia became democratic, the Cold Warriors, people like Epstein, Adnan Khashoggi, Iran-Contra, the money launderers, they kind of fell out of service because we don't need them anymore. But this gets to I'm pointing and painting a picture of we have a guy with a false passport.
I was about to say 40 seconds. That's the longest queue I've ever had.
Saying, hey, what's going on? Why aren't you acknowledging your links with me? Last time I was on
trying to complete my expedition.
There's a previous story from Rolling Stone. Again, everything I'm saying, I want to be able to make sure people can go and they can check my work. You can go to, Spy Origins, I think. And what we're looking at in this is a Epstein story that was written by Vicky Ward, the OG journalist who wrote about Jeffrey Epstein. She talks about how Epstein was alleged to have been on a private plane to the Pentagon in the 1980s. And he's involved deeply with Adnan Khashoggi, Douglas Lease, other arms traffickers who are at the heart of Iran-Contra. And now people might ask why. And this is where the initial leverage thing comes in. Epstein gets fired for Bear Stearns for financial crimes in the or for lying about effectively money laundering in the 1980s. He becomes an expert, in my opinion, at money laundering and moving money across the globe. Why does the CIA need that? So I explained this to you a little bit, Andrew. One of the things that happened after the Church Committee is that previously...
briefly explain the Church Committee? Because I think it's important to understand how that changes.
The Church Committee was a congressional investigation into all the shenanigans of the CIA in the 1970s. And so it exposed MK Ultra, COINTELPRO, all of these crazy things that were happening on U.S. soil. You know, I mean, the coup in Iran, like all of the sanction, blowing up Castro's cigar, trying to get, his beard, all the insane shit that they used to do, the CIA.
In other words, America is doing some nefarious things around the world and within the country. And I guess the United States citizens, or at least our government representatives, put forth this idea that we should be able to have transparency and understand what's going on. So it is a good thing. How can we hold people accountable if we don't know what they're doing? This gets passed, and now we're able to hold them accountable. And I'm sure when the CIA saw that, they're like, well, let's just stop doing all this bad stuff.
Of course, they would never keep doing it. What actually ends up is worse. This is what gives rise to the arms traffickers, because now the CIA can no longer do it under official auspices. Now they have to hire Jeffrey Epstein's, Adnan Khashoggi's. They need cutouts. They need bagmen, the black men.
Can't go back to
them. They need
that
black operators, and because what they do is they use them as cutouts to continue doing the same stuff. This is how Iran-Contra happens. Iran-Contra, if it was 1960, they would have just kept doing it, But, in 1980, they're like, well, it's explicitly against the law. We need to hire a guy. We need to move money here. Sell it here, sell drugs, and move arms to the Sandinistas and all this other nonsense. And that's why it's such a scandal. But that's why you need an Epstein in the 1980s, because this is after the Church Committee period. You need these cutout, dirty characters. And these dirty characters give rise to, the take-in line, a very specific set of skills, which is moving money surreptitiously across the globe.
So how do they get chosen? So the government knows that they need somebody that they can trust. But people that do bad things are not often trustworthy.
Right, exactly. And people who do bad things know other people who do bad things. That's how Epstein gets his entree, is that Epstein, he's a young man. He's in his mid-20s. He gets fired from Bear Stearns. He was on the up and up. He never should have been there in the first place. It's pretty sketchy how he even got there. Yeah. And now all of a sudden, he's in with Lease and Khashoggi and all of these other arms dealers who are like, hey, let's use your set of skills for this stuff I've got going on. And now you start to build up a portfolio. And once you've done one thing, you can do another thing. You develop an expertise. That's when he starts his company.
Not only do you get a portfolio, you get leverage over the most powerful governments in the world.
Exactly.
Because
which is
you
why
know
that
some
1999 letter is very important. Just to say, just reminding him. By the way, remember, this is before he's convicted. This is before anything is out in the open.
In case you guys want to indict me.
Right.
This is what I know about you.
Or maybe he's like, you need to hire me again. Or there's going to be some problems here, right? Like this, to me, that's a shakedown. That's the way that I see it. It's like, listen.
I wonder what the chance of me finding 2 motors is.
Because either business is down or something like, I need more leverage. But the question of the initial leverage is that. Also, there's all these interesting connections to Leslie Wexner and to Iran-Contra. So I think this is going to be in the drop site link. I forget which tab this is in. Griffin,
Before
drop site Epstein Israel
could it also have been maybe he was checking to see if he's been compromised? Like, say if he was already an agent, he's like, hey, let me see if my name is coming up anymore.
I think he wanted to remind them, I've been around, where's my acknowledgement, what's going on with this. So these are my colleagues and my friends over at Dropsite. They've done a ton of great stuff about Epstein and Israel. But let's go to the Les Wexner Iran-Contra
Before we go into that, you said 1992. You were referencing the fall of the Russian...
yes, fall of the Soviet Union.
USSR. So the perestroika is in like 1992.
I think it was 1990. I think the full fall of the Soviet Union is 91, 92. I need to go check. Whenever the Yeltsin election is like when everything changed.
We were talking to Julian Dory. He does a lot of like great investigative stuff on this, and he had posited an interesting theory because I think when they interviewed Epstein's like the guy would clean up his house. He's worked for him forever.
Okay.
There's this interview, I think like Edwards, is that the guy's name? The lawyer who was representing the victims of the Palm Beach?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so I think they went to talk
Are these
to
guys cheating?
I think he said something
like, what the fuck is this shit?
Where he was like, Epstein was like doing okay in like 1990 or the 80s, 91. And then 1992, he said something happened. Something changed. Like that's when the big mansions are coming through. That's when he's, talking about private jets, etc.
Yeah.
Now, Julian connected it to Robert Maxwell. But he was like, maybe this is Maxwell hiding his money, transfers it over to Epstein. That's why Ghislaine's at his hip, because that's her access to her family's fortune. And this way, Maxwell doesn't have to give it back to the people that he stole it from in Great Britain. But bringing up the fall of the USSR is a kind of interesting pivot there, because there are a lot of people that made insane wealth in that period. All the oligarchs come to power during that time period.
And then they, remade under Putin. No, you're right. Actually,
I wouldn't even say, I would say
bro.
in some ways.
You guys are fucking ugly pedophile fucking freak looking fucking ugly. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Time in Russia by this guy named Ben Mesrick, and apparently he sits them all down and he goes, it's over. Like he literally brings them all to Moscow, like presidential state or whatever. He sits them all down. He goes, "Okay, guys, it's over. So you guys work for me now, and you can still make money, but you're gonna do what I say."
Like a barter.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That he basically made it instead of like free market robber baron capitalism in terms of state-sponsored oligarchy.
Yes.
But the oligarchy continues.
Yes.
I think it's actually Les Wexner, because 1991, a lot of people forget, that is the year that Wexner signs over power of attorney to Jeffrey Epstein. So 91, so if he's saying 92 is when things explode.
This makes sense that there's an injection of capital. And what type of, I don't think, what's so peculiar is that there hasn't even been an interview with this Wexner guy, yet he's the most direct connection with money to Epstein, right?
Yes.
Like we know for a fact that this guy gave boatloads of money to Epstein. Why are we not sitting down with this guy and having some sort of it? Why is there not at least some version of an indictment?
Yeah, he's 88 years old. Remember, he was listed as a co-conspirator in the original document by the FBI. He's the source potentially of Epstein's wealth. If you go back to that, Griffin, the Epstein thing, I can even show how going back decades that there's these long links between Epstein and Wexner. What Dropsite reported, Epstein, Israel, and the CIA, how Iran-Contra planes landed at Les Wexner's base. What? Epstein helped Leslie Wexner repurpose CIA Iran-Contra planes from arms smuggling to shipping lingerie. So this is a story from the 1980s.
Wait. Break this down. Break this down.
Hold on.
Hold on. Wow, the Iran-Contra planes landed at Lex Wessner's base?
Yes.
Is this in Ohio?
This is in Ohio, and this is why it's all very important. So as they show...
Wait a minute, this is actually... Okay, now we understand why there might be some protection of Wexner, because he's also one of these intermediaries. Right? So the government is like, look, you scratched our back, so we're going to kind of protect you as much as we can because we couldn't do these nefarious acts without both of you.
So Wexner's also a cutout.
And here's my favorite line.
I mean, that's the question.
Well,
right?
it's possible. At the remember, when we say cutouts, and people, let's even zoom out for intelligence, because everyone's, and I said this last time, they're like, oh, Epstein worked for Mossad. No, he worked with Mossad. My friend Ryan, who wrote this piece, likes to say Mossad worked for him, as in like CIA, Mossad, Russia, FSB, the world's super intelligence networks. They work for the rich and powerful, for the global elite, and for the oligarchs. And so, if anything, to say worked for is kind of denigrating. It's like, no. It's the opposite, right? It's like we work together. Exactly.
You have a banana farm in Costa Rica. They're going to make sure that
we mutually work together. We maybe land some planes. As I love this line from Ryan. Of course, it could be an extraordinary coincidence that Epstein shared a penthouse with an Iran-Contra lawyer, worked for an Iran-Contra arms dealer, and then, as we report now, moved Iran-Contra planes to Ohio for use by the billionaire retail mogul Leslie Wexner. It may simply be a coincidence that Ehud Barak, one of Epstein's closest friends, was the head of Israel's military intelligence during the planning for Iran-Contra, supervised the CIA's first delivery. It also might be something that people should take a closer look at if they're so inclined. So that puts it all together, right? Doesn't it? It puts it all together. You have Israel, you have the U.S., you have CIA, you have Wexner, you have the Iran-Contra plane. This is the origin story, the initial leverage. Then there's a question of Wexner and any of these people. The analogy that I gave last time was, if you remember the movie Argo, well, the CIA could not just put up a front production company. They had to go to Hollywood, and they, as you remember, he hires the guys, or they create, but they're real. It's a real thing, but it's their money. And then it's all on behalf of intelligence networks. Now, do they work for the CIA? Not really. They work together, right? You know, they work together on this one specific
Hello, why are you so mean?
The global elite. The global, no, they're 1099.
Why are you so mean to me?
Right? Like these guys, like they work sometimes together. He mostly is working for Victoria's Secret, but if the CIA needs something, okay, let's make it happen. Like let's, the CIA needs access to resources.
Why would
bases,
Wexner
planes,
do something like this?
Right, of course. Why not?
Why would it be advantageous to him? What type
At that
of
time,
interest would he have?
he's a patriotic American. I don't know. He's a patriotic supporter of the state of Israel, right? Which maybe has his own interest in Iran-Contra. I mean, he himself is a committed Zionist. He's donated millions of dollars to Zionist causes here in the U.S. There's a Wexner Fellowship over at Harvard University. He paid Ehud Barak, his foundation, $2 million to write 2 reports, one of which was never finished. Literally, one of which was never finished. Great work if he can get it. You know, I mean, so just showing where the money in terms of how this all stuff works. And again, he has this extraordinary hold.
You're being
Epstein
a real
does
bad goy right now. I just gotta say, real bad goy.
But Epstein has this extraordinary hold on Wexner, and that's always the question: is it blackmail? Is it these past intelligence connections? Like, what is it? One can only speculate. Leslie Wexner's still alive. He's an 88-year-old man. All he's ever said about this is, "I regret ever knowing him." That's it. That's basically all he's ever said. One public statement. He apologized for his previous relationship. He says he regrets ever knowing Jeffrey Epstein, and he says, I cut off my relations with him a long time ago, not 100% true. And he alleges that Epstein was stealing money from him, not that he had cut relations off with him for anything related to his own behavior.
That's why he regrets ever knowing him.
I mean, remember in the birthday book, Leslie Wexner drew a picture of literally a pair of boobs and be like, hey, Jeffrey, this is the only thing that you actually want. I mean, it's all out in the open. It's disgusting, like the way that these guys operate. I thought about that with the birthday book too. You know, with you guys, like, am I the only guy who's like, when my friend is his birthday, I'm like, hey man, love you, dude. Happy birthday. Like, am I the only guy?
What happened to birthday punches?
Is it just like, am I the weird one who isn't writing violent fantasies?
Yeah.
Like,
You
Jeffrey.
pay taxes. This is
exactly.
You pay taxes, you do normal shit with your friends.
Like Jeffrey,
cryptic poems.
I reminisce.
never age.
I reminisce about us being 18-year-old men and violently, potentially raping children. Yeah, or Trump, like every day is a wonderful secret. Or, I mean, actually,
Hello?
Griffin, I'm still trying to find this person, and I would love to put it on a platform like this one. I think it's in the Pizzagate section. If we look at, there's the birthday book suggested child watch. That's my label. I have never been able to find the person who. Oh, sorry. Actually, that's the first one. I need to.
Quick question. Let's say Wexner is like...
That's what, by the way, that was in the birthday book, just so we're all, if we're all clear, is a young woman suggestively posing. That was literally in the birthday book. Submitted by one of the parents, which is sick and disgusting.
Submitted by the parents?
Apparently, that's what
What does it say here? A new series of pictures?
Yeah.
Looking coolest?
Yeah, looking coolest. That's literally a young prepubescent girl posing in her pajamas for Jeffrey Epstein, which was included in the book. I'd have to try and find. Yeah, I can't. I don't have it here in the document. But there's a. Oh, I know. It's going to be an Eyes Wide Shut. That's what it is. In the Eyes Wide Shut section, Eyes Wide Shut birthday. I have never been able to find this person. So this was this image that was in the Epstein book, where again I have no idea what it was, but this kind of reminds me of the movie like An Eyes Wide Shut when they're playing the piano, because there's a piano there at the center, and then these pink chairs where people are like watching.
Hello,
and then
for me.
there's like some
Just looking for a
seems to
motive.
be like a girl or something like there in the middle in some sort of distress in like this creepy area. This is clearly drawn by a
Looking
very
for
small
some
child.
motives,
The person who
please.
drew it allegedly is signed there Alberto Frederic Gomez. I've never been able to find him. He at one point was here in New York City. I have tried so hard to find this person. So Alberto, if you're out there, I'd love to talk to you because I still don't know what the hell is going on.
I don't think he wants to talk to you.
Well, he's a child.
Oh,
He's
you
probably
fucking.
victim.
Oh,
He
I
was
see.
included here in the book.
Oh, fucking
He seems to be
pussy.
some wealthy guy. I think he's overseas now currently. But at one point when this was taken, as I understand it, he was
All right.
a child here in the United States, and he was actually here in New York City.
And it's included in the birthday
That's it, dude.
It's included in the birthday book.
By a parent, ostensibly?
That's it, dude.
Alleged, I would assume by a parent. I mean, how else would he have this relationship with a small boy? You know, being able to write stuff like that.
Total
that's
pussy.
the big
And we
question.
know the age?
Well,
we know the age?
I don't know his age. I
I couldn't
found
draw this as a
I
42-year-old.
found
That's what I'm
a-
saying.
Okay.
It's maybe not a kid.
He's a
Like, that
kid.
could be an
I
adult
found
drawing.
a reference.
Don't
to
wanna
him
be
in
friendly,
2000
okay.
when he was already a
Okay.
teenager, which is roughly around when this would have been happening.
Got it.
Right? So like I could confirm that he was young, if that's the same person, and I'm pretty sure it is. I tracked down. There was a gallery here in New York where at one point he did some work with, but the gallery refuses to answer any question.
All right, guys, here are all our dates in 30 seconds or less. March 28th, Providence, Rhode Island. April 13th, Radio City Music Hall, Garden of Laughs. Great show, bunch of great comedians. May 8th, Los Angeles with Jelly Roll at the Netflix as a joke festival. August 8th, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Go.
February 19th, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. February 22nd, Charlotte, North Carolina.
The other co-conspirators that were named, there were a few of them that you can't even Google. Like, nothing pops up about them. Have you
Yeah.
found out anything on those people?
It's interesting. So let's go to the co-conspirators. Let's go to the 6 co-conspirators video. This is from Rokana. He got some criticism for this because these were men who were mentioned in the documents, and some of them had no relation to Epstein, according to them. Again, according to them, but they're private citizens, and so I'm even weary of even putting their names up or any of that because Rokana is the person who we don't need to play it, Griffin, just to show people. He read it on the House floor.
Yeah.
You can do that without being legally liable, but I'm just pointing out that those were the names that were listed. I'll say for the 2 that we do know of, Sultan Ahmed bin Soyam is a very important one.
And he just stepped down, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And he was the CEO of Dubai Ports, which is a very important nexus in the UAE. And actually, I think Dropsite has some stories there, Griffin, if we want to go to their archive about the Dubai connection. Because what he was doing with the Dubai Ports executive is that he was working with Sultan. By the way, Sultan Soyam, Epstein was working with Sultan Soyam. So Soyam is the one who famously sent an email about the torture video. By the way, we actually do have an explanation, and shout out to MW3 found that the torture video was a scam at the time regarding the U.S. So we can put that one to bed. It's not actually a video of girls being tortured, where they reference torture video, which is inside of it. So,
But it is a torture video.
No, yeah, it is, but it's not like it's not what people originally thought. So here we go.
Torture.
Here's some Dropsite. Praise Allah, there are people like you. Epstein nurtured Israel-Emirate ties before the Abraham Accords, and they specifically talk about his relationship here with the chief of Dubai Ports World and pitch Israeli logistics infrastructure and cybersecurity investments to the UAE.
Question.
Yes.
Do you think it's, let's say that he was one of these intermediaries, right? Do you think that's enough to have this type of global leverage?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Because it all compounds on each other. It's what I was talking about with Iran-Contra. You start with Bear Stearns, then you go to Iran-Contra, you go to money laundering, you open the Epstein company, you get Wexner. You only need one. You guys know this in business.
I just thought about something, because I've always thought about, like, why when they were done using him, did they not just kill him? And they eventually did.
Well, they did kill him.
Yes, but...
Well, maybe.
But... No.
Yeah,
let's... They killed him. But, like... But I go, well, why not just kill him, like, immediately when they're using him? And I wonder if it gets out there that you murder all of your intermediaries, you murder all your assets, you're not going to get the people that are going to be willing to sign up for it.
Right.
So in a weird way, you could say the government is in a little bit of a pickle. They're like, we have this guy that has leverage over us. They know we could kill him, but if we kill them, then anybody else is probably going to take the secrets they know about us and run to a country that's going to offer them protection. So you do have a disproportionate amount of leverage on the most powerful countries in the world when you're in these positions.
Also, you only are going to kill somebody if they're a problem for you. And I think a lot of people forget, Epstein was not a problem till 2019.
Dude, break this down, because so, like, they kill him so soon.
Right, so like, if you really think about it, after he actually became a problem is how quickly he died in prison.
Within a month.
Right, literally. Like, in terms of his custody, and by the way, he was cooperating with the government, potentially, and had a meeting with his lawyer days before his suicide about cooperation, which may have been, let's say, the precipitation.
Well,
there's the letter, right there, from the files.
You wouldn't say the first conviction in 2008, that he was...
That's the opposite of a problem. That was a cover-up. That was like, dude, that was barely local news. That was Palm Beach Post saying, hey, here's Jeffrey Epstein. He pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution involving a minor. It's a very low-level crime. She was just 17 years old. He had no way of knowing.
He gets to go, I didn't know she was 17.
I didn't know she was 17.
And nobody knows that there were 40 women that were alleging it.
Exactly.
They don't even
the girl
tell
as young as 14 in the same indictment. The last time I was here, I talked about the secret indictment. We actually have the secret indictment. It was released as part of the Epstein files. Everyone should read it. We're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-old girls asking a girl who's 15, hey, sweetheart, do you have any girls who are younger than you? This is in federal documents that were alleged. That's what, remember, that indictment, which was secured against him, was ditched in favor of the plea deal where he just has to plead guilty. And when he had to plead guilty to solicitation of prostitution with somebody who's underage, they found the oldest girl. So they picked the 17-year-old. So a lot of Epstein defenders, oh, she was only 7. No. The indictment specifically says 14, 15, 16, and 17, yes, old girl. But they picked the oldest girl that he pleads guilty to, which allows him to just say she's only 17. We have literally a 14-year-old named in the secret indictment. This is why I wanted it to be released.
There was an interesting narrative that came out afterwards where people go, because who was it? Podesta said, I was told that he was intelligence.
Oh, no, Alex Acosta.
So Acosta,
that's an alleged quote. Never been confirmed.
Okay, allegedly he goes, I was told that he was intelligence. And then he backtracks from that later on. And then there's another time where he goes, no, he had no... There's 3 different times where I think he addressed it. And he denied it, right? But now
you know, like all the time I find humidifiers on this map.
Add a little bit more credence
now that I need one, I don't. Kind of funny.
Which one?
When he goes, I was told that he belonged to intelligence.
I mean, I don't know. So
why else would he do this? Let's say this person is singularly focused on, well, clearly not justice, because if you're focused on justice for these girls, then you're going to throw the book at him.
Correct.
So he's probably focused on, like, furthering his career, right? And if he's focused on furthering his career, you don't want to have that on your record.
Right.
So why else would he do it unless he had immense leverage?
Well, career is important. So
but this is going to kill your career if this comes out.
Well, it didn't come out for decades until he was literally the Secretary of Labor.
But then I guess my point is somebody's going to have to promise him that this is not going to come out.
And it wasn't. Remember, guys, none of this was supposed to happen. The only reason that this wasn't totally done and dusted
explained by what
Epstein
you mean by this.
coming. Like all the government had to do for that 2007 plea deal, all they had to do, they could have given the sweetheart deal. All they had to do was go to the victims and say, hey guys, we're doing this deal. That's it. And then none of this would have happened.
Wow.
Because they did not do it, they violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act, which said that they have to be notified. And again, they don't have to agree, they just have to be notified. By not notifying them, because they're ashamed of what they did, they violated the victim's civil rights, which makes void the non-prosecution agreement. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell is currently in court and actually went all the way to the Supreme Court saying, my entire prosecution is unjust because y'all promised me immunity back in 2007.
Yeah.
She's like, my immunity has been violated from the non-prosecution agreement. We agreed in good faith on good terms that you would give me you would give Epstein and all his co-conspirators federal immunity of prosecution. And she is saying that the non-prosecution agreement is still valid. That's the legal basis. So all of this is a paperwork error based on the Epstein victims not being notified. That's why this whole thing.
So we were
didn't
able
get to talk about this.
She was able to be charged because that immunity was voided.
Exactly.
What about
voided.
all the other
Yes,
co-conspirators?
well, they're also unvoided, right? So they can be prosecuted.
So why haven't we gone after
That's a great question.
Why we
isn't it?
only went after?
And maybe that's why he was 2019. Epstein is indicted. Very shortly ends up dead. He's potentially involved in cooperation with the government, as we saw in the files, literally from his own legal team, which showed that they're potentially exploring cooperation. His own brother says he wasn't going to kill himself. Who's the famous doctor? Michael Baden. Michael Baden just came out again, being like, I'm sorry, this is not consistent at all with the suicide. We won't show it here because it's really graphic, but in the Epstein files, there are actually photos released of the corpse. You can see the marks on the neck immediately after CPR was given and intubation. The marks on the neck from the consistent story, it looks very deep. Like, it does not look consistent, I would say, with the official story of his own hanging and the way that it was done. Again, I'm not an expert, but I trust Michael Baden. I think he's very, very intelligent, well-known forensic pathologist. He says that the break in the hyoid bone, and specifically the way that you can all see, it just is not consistent. Oh, and the body double. Let's not forget that. Let's put that up there.
Yeah.
All right, so in the files, they actually talked about, due to the large new media presence outside MCC, a male official called and said he would be arriving at the loading dock with a black vehicle. In order to thwart media, Blank used boxes and sheets to create what appeared to be a human body, which was put into a white vehicle, which the press followed, allowing a black vehicle to depart unnoticed with Epstein's body.
Oh, he's alive.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, that's
he's alive.
That's Crystal and I were talking about this. I was like, I would have given it 0, and now I'm like 1%. You know, there's a 1%. I'm still at 1. I'm still at 1. I think she's at like 20, but yeah, I'm at 1%.
Mark is about to explode right now. Mark has been researching this nonstop for the last 10 years, okay? Mark, tell me what you're feeling right now.
No, I mean, I'm not an expert, but like, again, it's just all so weird. Like, there's just like been so much conversation in the past 10 years about like, oh yeah, there's elite people that are connected through this mutual blackmail using underage, girls to basically coerce each other, and they operate the entire global stage, and you were called crazy for it forever. And then now everyone's just like, yeah, we always knew this.
Right.
It's like, what? No.
Yeah, what do you mean now people are like, we always knew this?
Yeah, like, because now you just hear people talking like from establishment media being like, duh. Of course he's connected.
I'll be honest, that is annoying to hear. It is annoying to hear people say this. Like, obviously, when you were called like a spook, a quack, a tinfoil hat maniac for even positing some of these
I
ideas.
covered this story. I checked. My very first video on Epstein was 7, maybe 8 years ago, actually. So for the entire time I've covered it, why are you talking about this? You're a kook, weirdo. Oh, Sagar's on his Epstein thing. It's like, oh, it's just like his UFO obsession. Like, that's the way that it was talked about.
When we did the Netflix special.
But you'll be vindicated for that one soon.
Yeah, I will. That's my next one.
There's a piece that's the second episode of the special that is like, you could watch it as if we put it out yesterday.
On Epstein?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's on Epstein, conspiracies, everything.
Was that your straight to camera one?
Yeah.
Oh,
you
put me in the credits for that, by the
Of
way.
course,
Yeah,
obviously.
thank you.
You were an amazing asset test. And like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy this conversation is still going. Now, I think that like that was at a time that people were starting to kind of like open up and wisen up to it. Like,
sure.
The internet was a little bit.
We also didn't have all the information, so we took some swings. The swings, I think, through these files have been a little validated.
Well, let's talk about that.
Completely validated.
But it is important. I do think, and so this is where some of the scold media is like, this has gotten totally out of control. People think they're like cannibalizing. It's like, no, Cannibal was the name of a restaurant, actually, in terms of the reference of the files. And like, people sometimes don't like that I bring up that many of the most salacious or unsubstantiated stuff has a, quote, innocent explanation, or at very least a much more reasonable explanation than the worst one. But what I'm trying to say, though, is that at its height, the worst of what we believed is that there is a global cabal of rich men who believe that the rules don't apply to them, who routinely enact and engage in immoral behavior. is true. Like, it is true. Like, you don't have to take it so far. Like, the businessman blackmail email I showed you guys, like, that's it. That's the whole thing. Emailing a Russian guy connected to intelligence, I need this bitch to go away, basically, right? Like, that's as clear cut as it could get.
Yeah. It's funny because like if I talk to like kind of like lower level people in like finance or real estate, they're always like, can you believe that they weren't paying taxes? That's what they're hung up on. This is unbelievable. They've been insider trade. They've been beating the stock market while the rest of us are just sitting here. Like, what about like the pedophile, right? It's like, oh, I can see them doing that.
Right, exactly. And anybody who's like exposed to this world, even remotely, sees very clearly, like, these people, they really don't believe that the rules apply to them, and the permission structure is that as long as you're useful, you can get away with anything.
So this is what we were talking. I think I was talking to you a little about this, but Mark and I were discussing this. It's like the financial crash, like what was it, 2008?
2008.
I think in a lot of ways this was like a permission slip for these folks, right? It's like they see this massive thing that a lot of these people were part of, and they're selling these bullshit mortgage packages to people, and people making 20 grand a year buying 3 different homes, and the banks get bailed out, the CEOs get their bonuses, everybody gets off scot-free, and I wonder if there's this feeling like, oh shit, we can really do real fucking. And I wonder if things like really just ratchet up from there, especially from the insider trading perspective.
Griffin, I don't have this email, but can you find the Epstein-Teal email where they talk about global unrest? I know you know what I'm talking about, but there's specifically
this is
an
the
email
Jay-Z
where they talk, I don't know if it's about Jay-Z, where he's like talking about global unrest, and he's like, hey, there's all this chaos in the world, great for business. He's like, I think he might be talking about Libya, actually. That's the one that I'd have to go and find.
The one I'm talking
Griffin's
about
looking forward
is not implicating Jay-Z in any type of crime necessarily.
We know.
It's saying, he's talking about why America's not Brazil. He says, why is there not rioting in the streets? Why are poor people not cutting their heads off? And there's conversation basically goes, they have the Super Bowl,
bread in the circus,
and the people that should be rioting are completely happy watching this and kind of sold out by Jay-Z.
Right.
Is what the email says.
Okay, all right. I mean, I don't hate it, but what I found, in here is Epstein had a remarkable amount of self-awareness. Like, when Libya was collapsing, he was like, hey, let's get in on this. He's like, Libya's collapsing. Let's make some money here. He's like, I know a guy, a sheikh who knows somebody inside of Libya. There's a ton of oil. He's always on the lookout. Like, these people, the way that they operate is they find opportunity where the rest of us have revulsion, right?
He basically
most
says,
of us are like,
we're going to blackmail their heads of state in order to seize state assets after Gaddafi's killed.
Suggests that he knew Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Rashid Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai. The Sultan disgrace was seemingly made that Epstein got in touch, and basically, this is about a separate email. So I'm still looking for the Libya connection, but that one specifically is about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm paraphrasing the emails, and I might be taking it out of context, but it's more or less saying like, hey, we can get some money. Basically, Gaddafi has been on a campaign for 30+ years, collecting all of this wealth, and now it's just kind of up for grabs.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. So 2011, and then I'll get to the one that Griffin just pulled up. Greg Brown and Epstein discussed plans to extort Libyan officials, seize state assets under the pretext of helping rebuild the country, with involvement from former MI6 and Mossad. This all takes place during the Civil War. But this was a very revealing exchange. June 2016, Peter Thiel, from Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Thiel. A return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. As I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. So you look for collapse, and they're talking about Brexit. That was kind of the kickoff.
Isn't this the Soros investment strategy too?
But this is, I mean,
hasn't that been the criticism of
it's
Soros?
a time-honored tradition. We're chaos, you have opportunity. The rest of us are like, how are we going to pay our bills? If you're a normal Britain, I mean, look, I thought Brexit was a good idea, but regardless of whether or not, like, a normal Britain is like, we need independence from the EU, and these people are like, where's the money to be made? Right?
It's
like
people
Libya.
People are arguing about making $15 an hour as minimum wage.
Right, exactly.
And these people are like, what's the next government about to collapse?
Now,
and we're going to extract
the leap here that I'm willing to entertain is to say that if they're benefiting making so much money off of chaos, do they not have a vested interest in causing chaos?
Yes, they do. I think that's the whole point, is that
Mark,
it's all direct.
What are you, a conspiracy theorist? You're saying the way that they would make money, they would not do it all the time?
It's a little tougher to substantiate from the files, it seems like.
But just walk me through it.
would make sense that, oh, if Gaddafi goes down, we can make a ton of money. Hey, should we try to support some rebel force that's going to depose Gaddafi?
Well, that's where you would say that their entire ideology, which forced Gaddafi from power, which, by the way, was a chosen operation by the United States, is supported by the Epstein class, which is the very type of people who invent this fake doctrine of it's called R2P, responsibility to protect, where NATO was involved, remember, even though NATO is for Europe, and we decided to go no-fly zone, and then the Gaddafi literally ends up with a rod shoved up his ass on camera.
Who was in power in America during that time?
Right, Obama, exactly. Right.
No.
Yeah. But the thing is that it's not really an Obama story because it wasn't just Obama. It was the entire foreign policy apparatus. Like, you guys don't know this, but like Libya was one of the most consensus-based decisions in the history of Washington.
So there was unanimous support.
There was nobody who said Libya was a bad idea.
But the idea
there were more people who said Iraq was a bad idea than who said Libya was a bad idea.
But this is why people claim like the American left is basically like center-right of the rest of the world.
Well, you could say the Democratic Party. But
Yeah, the Democratic Party,
yeah.
sure. But like, basically because it's just still the same like neoliberal, let's go around and like fuck up the world so that we can get money from it. And
Yeah, check out AOC's just remarks at Munich, by the way, where she basically said that. AOC just gave one of the most neoconservative speeches I've ever seen.
Oh, she's running.
Yeah, right. Well, actually, no.
Dog whistle, right?
No, because it was a disaster.
Wow. Within
she
her
didn't know.
party, it was a disaster?
Well, basically, it was a disaster. Griffin, if you want to get the clip, we can watch it and react. But
Which one? Taiwan?
Taiwan was bad, but there was, let's start with Taiwan. Taiwan, just to show
While you
people
bring that
how
up,
bad
finish
it
your
was.
just
point.
like
Yeah.
we all sit here and we argue all these cultural issues about trans, whatever, and it all means absolutely nothing because the actual rich people, regardless of what political side they're on, are making money from destabilizing countries around the world.
Yeah.
So whether it's Bush,
Like disaster capitalism. I mean, this is what's happening with Ukraine, right? Is you have BlackRock, who's pledging to rebuild Ukraine, who's pledging to pay BlackRock, the U.S. government, and then it's like it becomes a circular disaster financial thing where Zelensky, I mean, he meets with the CEOs of these companies and they say it out loud. They're like, "Yep, we're going to need $750 billion to rebuild Ukraine, and then who's going to pay for that? We're going to pay for it. Europe's going to pay for it. Goes to the banks to finance the loans." What you do is you destroy the country. After you destroy the country, you fuel the civil war and you make sure it's even more destroyed. Then after it's all completely destroyed, then you finance the rebuilding of said country.
Yeah.
The only people it's bad for are the people who are there.
Who finances that?
Well, the original. I mean,
Is that
listen,
the American
yeah.
people? Is that who finances
Well,
it?
it's the U.S. government.
Is
It's the
that
CIA. It's everybody else.
Us stupid fucking goys who pay taxes? Is that it?
But like we watch TV and these people are arguing and it's like they're all friends with each other. They're all supporting the same candidates that effectively do the same agenda just with a different wrapping.
Right.
Yeah.
So that they all get money. And we pretend like it's real.
Yeah.
To me, that's
Is
the
this
annoying part.
Taiwan, Griffin?
This is the Taiwan specific.
Okay,
This is
let's take a
the
listen.
larger
Yeah, I
picture.
want you guys to hear, just to show like this
Go
is
on.
this is big. So, let me set the stage. The Munich Security Conference is the go-to. It's like that is where the world's foreign policy is decided. So Putin gives a famous speech there. J.D. Vance gave a famous speech there. It's a long and storied history of like the nexus of NATO. It's kind of like the World Economic Forum for foreign policy. So AOC going there was a really big deal. It was a very I'm running for president moment, and this is what she came away with.
Yeah, it's like 2028 auditions for the Democrats.
Foremost, I think we need to rebuild our commitments to international aid. Not just USAID, the dozens of global compacts that this current Secretary of State and President Trump have withdrawn from. They are looking to withdraw the United States from the entire world so that we can turn into an age of authoritarianism. Of authoritarians that can carve out a world where Donald Trump can command the Western Hemisphere and Latin America as his personal sandbox, where Putin can saber rattle around Europe and try to bully around our own allies there, and for essentially authoritarians to have their own geographic domains. And it actually is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It is our global alliances that can be a hard stop against authoritarian consolidation of power.
All right, let's cut it there. So first of all, the Trans-Pacific Partnership,
TPP.
that's not that she meant Transatlantic Alliance.
Yeah.
So major fuck up there. First of all, that's a little tedious, but like
One
just,
ocean.
Okay.
So okay.
Everyone, I just want to make this super duper quick video about where to find the motors, alright? So you need them to upgrade the refiner from refiner 2, they make etc. And I didn't find a single motor after many hours, alright? And many runs. It was horrible. It was horrible. I was getting really frustrated. And eventually I stumbled across this place. Let me show you in game. In Dam Battlegrounds. Right here, primary facility. I did visit it before, I didn't get lucky, but then I visited it again eventually. And there are these red and blue containers there. And if you search the shelves in those red and blue containers, you will find motors. Alright. Boom. Oh my god, and I spent, Claudia, I spent the entire day looking for motors, right? Whole day, right? And guess what's happening right now? I'm finding a motor after a motor after a motor. I found the best location for motors. Oh my god. 2 motors in one go. No, look, Claudia, 2 motors, 2. And I just started again. This is the
whole region of the world is at the most important security conference.
Get Taiwan next. Taiwan's way worse.
But okay, so look, if you're looking at this face value, right? You're an average American citizen that maybe doesn't have as negative a look on like how the Epstein class makes money by destabilizing nations and you know, extracting their wealth, right? Or causing chaos and profiting off it. If you're just looking at this face value, is it not resonate? Does not feel like
it all sounds good. Stopping communism sounds good.
Well, hold on.
So,
thank you.
Before we go to this one, so I think the average person digests it and they go, "Wow, I think that she's kind of describing something that we're all seeing. I think this makes sense." But when you take a look at this idea that both parties are mutually benefiting from destructive chaos. You can look at it as maybe a dog whistle to those people in Europe to basically go, hey, we're going to go back to the old system.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to stop this.
See, that's the thing, is that our leftist...
Is that the criticism?
Yeah, the critique is you have to have the ear of Washington. So when we hear, like, withdraw from the world, it's like, well, if we're not withdrawing from the world, we're going to stay in the world, which is going to make our forward deployed empire, which, by the way, the left has always been the people criticizing the forward deployment of the broad American empire.
I just want to frame this to people watching, right?
So like,
so like, give me the best case scenario of what she said, and then give me the worst case scenario.
The best case scenario of what she's saying is like warmed over the neoliberal Obama framework, is that NATO and all of that must stand together. We should help our allies. There's, you know, all this, you know, we're all friends here. We shouldn't have, you know, bad relations. Is that America should remain the security umbrella of the entire world. Ukraine is, you know, the fight of freedom and democracy
for the West,
and for the West, etc. The worst version is what I'm talking about, is that this is an inversion of a traditional leftist critique of the U.S. American empire, which works to actually facilitate global chaos.
Best case scenario, she's like, we should look out for our allies and we should all fight bad together.
That's the way I heard it.
And I think a lot of people do hear it that way.
Yeah, but you gotta think, then what? Like when you say we're not withdrawing.
This is what I'm trying to say. I can't say what she actually believes because I don't know who she is. But the worst case version of this is she's saying to the Epstein class, the powers that be, hey, we're going to go back to the old system. Enough of this. We're just in the West. We're everywhere. And wherever there's chaos, we're going to extract that wealth. So that would be the person that's maybe most concerned about American imperialism and the negative impacts of the world. And I know we're talking about American imperialism, but it's not just American, as we've seen with these connections. This interconnected web of these different, you know, intelligence agencies that is willing to take advantage of and maybe even stoke chaos around the world and profit off of it. That language resonates with them. Yes. Maybe she doesn't, maybe that's not what she wants. Maybe she's naive to how it works. I'm trying to give her the most favorable outcome here, but
you also got to take into consideration what she normally preaches and goes on.
Of course.
That was, see, Alex, that's why I thought it was bad. My joke was, that's your brain on the New York Times. Like, that's basically that's like somebody who reads the New York Times, like, yeah, we shouldn't withdraw from the world. It's again, the most leftist critique of the American empire has always been like, no, we should withdraw, actually, because U.S. involvement, forward deployment.
American imperialism
is a destabilization force. And instead, she's inverting it and basically embracing a neoliberal, neoconservative almost framework. But the second thing is, it's very obvious to me, this lady has not thought about foreign policy. Well, you don't mix up Trans-Pacific Partnership with Transatlantic. Let's listen to the Taiwan answer. No, listen to Taiwan, and you'll see exactly what I'm doing.
Nah, cutting to the audience is crazy. Oh, they got her.
Yeah, I mean, she
got her.
eventually got it. Come on, bro. That was a good question. It was a disastrous answer. Like, you just say, we're going to maintain the policy of strategic ambiguity, which she eventually got to. But she clearly didn't even know what she was talking about. She also, by the way, said that Venezuela was below the equator, which is not true. So, like, these are three separate things.
Okay,
and I'm sorry.
She's still an American. Yeah. We don't know about other countries that much.
I'm just saying. I mean,
It's public school.
Again. It seems that she's hesitant. to say, what's actually really interesting is in the other answer, she's like, we want to protect and support our allies. And then when asked about Taiwan, she's like, well, we would hope it doesn't get to the point where we have
don't want to get to that, and I don't know what my policy is. I mean, it's clear, like, to me, this is a woman.
So you think she just wasn't ready for that question?
She's not ready for the question. Okay. I think that these people, and this is the most dangerous
There's
thing.
a darker way to interpret that, though, Sagar. The darker way to interpret is that she does know the answer, and she's saying, we're not going to go and support, and
or maybe we will. I mean, but that's the whole point about policy. Is strategic. The policy of the United States is strategic ambiguity. Maybe, maybe not. Now, the thing is, you're supposed to just say that, like, flat, and then move on confidently.
If this is the Global Security Conference, she should know that they're going to ask about Taiwan,
She should know. I mean, I don't want to get too, like, nitpicky, because, like, look, I get it for all the people who are mad. Trump is literally the president who says concepts of the plan. I get it. I get what you're all saying. Okay, now
we can point out a lot of those.
I'm just saying,
a million of them.
I hear you 100%. Now, generally, they like to hold themselves at a higher bar, but what I'm trying to say is that the danger in this, and this is always is that if you don't have an ideology, which I don't think that she does, you will get colored in by Washington. That's why I talked about Obama. Obama did not think deeply about foreign policy. He had a little bit of an anti-war inkling. He comes into office, he gets destroyed by the neoconservatives and the general class, who force his hand on Afghanistan and make him to commit to a war. Obama's Wars by Bob Woodward. That should be like required reading for every American to see how the internal machinery of the Pentagon can move you through the press, through leaks. They can force your hand. And you're a president who just won 55% of the vote. And it turns out you have no power here.
So this is really interesting. Yeah. If you do not have, if you're not an ideologue about geopolitics, for better or for worse, you are at the mercy of the system,
of the deep state,
and the deep state, or whatever it is, the powers that be, the Epstein class, will move you in advantageous situations for them.
Yeah, they'll force your hand.
So maybe the most fair concern about this is the way that she communicated these ideas. It showed that she hadn't thought, or it wasn't an ideologue about these certain things. It seemed maybe with the first answer, she's like, I believe we should support our allies and go back to maybe a more traditional approach, which one way of looking at that is like, yeah, we should support the other countries that are looking out for us as well. And you might not agree, but like, me personally, I look at that. It's like, I want allies. Right. Like, if we got to bang out,
I would just say, well, which ones, right?
Sure,
so, like, who should be an ally?
What's up, everybody?
On the surface, I don't hate that answer. That
he's going to be heading this way.
But the scarier version of that is she messaging to?
So you want to get inside of a building?
Hey,
okay, he's jumping.
If I am in power, we can go back to the old way.
Oh no! I trolled.
Yes, and not only a lot of money. That's like that's the crown jewel of Washington. It's the American empire, the imperium. It all stems.
I think average Americans are just so distant from this on purpose.
No, I get it, but you know, the other warning I give. Sorry, we got off Epstein track, but like, guys, the one thing you're actually voting for is foreign policy. 99% of what you want from Congress is not gonna fucking happen. Like, even in the best of times.
Oh, we know.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but like, as you have found out, as many new entrants to politics have found out, right? Like, but what you will get is foreign policy. The person with the monarchical powers to start wars, to end wars, to do whatever they want, as we're all witnessing right now with the situation with Iran. So that person you vote for, like, if you make a mistake, it's bad. And like what I'm pointing out in her ways, if you're a leftist, and specifically, like, you have your critique of the American empire and like the way that the U.S. and all that should operate, and I have deep respect like for that worldview, you will see here what you watch in front of you is not a representation of that whatsoever. It is much more representation of a traditional Hillary Clinton-esque style Democrat who's maybe tweaking her language a little bit by saying the words working class a few other times in the sentence. But that's like, the danger.
If voters are fucked either way, because Trump ran on, hey, I'm ending all wars, and now we're about to start. So it's like,
welcome to Washington.
Well,
you can't even vote yet.
I think that feeling is emblematic of the Epstein thing as well, which is like, you're fucked either way, right? It's like, they're a group of people that they're going to make these decisions, whether we like it or not. And even if we have them dead to rights, it looks like the administration, every administration, but especially this fucking one that ran on exposing it, will do everything in their power, even if it means besmirching all their reputations, to silence it and shut it down. All right, guys, let's take a break for a second. This is a new year, new routines. But have you ever stopped to think about what your shower water is doing to your skin and hair? Most people spend thousands every year on skincare and hair care, trying to fix dryness, breakouts, and dull hair without realizing the real problem starts before the products even go on. It's the quality of your shower water. And that's where Jolie comes in. Jolie is a beauty wellness company with a clinically proven filtered shower head designed to remove chlorine and heavy metals that can damage your skin and hair. It installs in minutes, fits all showers, looks amazing, delivers amazing pressure, and now starts at just 98 bucks. A small upgrade that can make a huge difference in how your skin and hair feel all year long. Head to jolieskinco.com/flagrant to get yours. That's jolieskinco.com/flagrant. And if you or your loved ones doesn't love it, you can return it for a full refund within 60 days, no questions asked. Also available on Amazon, but start the year with better water no matter how you get it. Get Jolie for $98 today. Now let's get back to the show. All right, guys, I hope you all appreciate that we waited for a break in the pedophile ring section of this conversation before we did a boner pill.
Yeah, let's talk about Lutnick on that one.
Yeah,
Lutnick is the worst example of this. So I have the clip in here, Griffin.
Can you believe a guy in finance would be neighbors with one of the most rich and powerful people and never want to hang out with him?
Right.
Can you believe that would happen?
Let's get the Midas Touch clip, the one where he says he never saw him again after 2005.
Me and my wife saw him and we felt a dark feeling. And like, I will never hang out with that guy unless it's on an island with my family.
All right, so we are in number 11 and he lives in number 9.
Right.
So,
I mean,
That's just rich
hold
shit
on.
right there.
Pause. Are they just fucking with us? At this point, are they just fucking with us?
I was in number 9. He was in
Steve
11.
is in 9. He's in 11. Ludwig happens to not go to work that day. At this
That got
point, he's the guy who was supposed to.
I was going to say, if we want to go further, he's from Cantor Fitzgerald, which is where the...
I need a leaper.
You're talking in procs.
You talking it? You talking in procs, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, big in it. In it.
Nah. They up the road.
Bro.
Yo, what's going on back there?
Oh, bruv.
Huh?
Said, oh, bruv, I'm getting sniped.
What are you getting sniped by?
Bro, fuck you.
Oh, me?
Don't worry, Caucus. It'll be okay.
Oh,
Yeah, man. Listen to the little girl.
Oh. Oh. Okay, big.